We will be starting in approximately 45 seconds. Hi, and thank you for tuning in today on this Wednesday afternoon. My name is Wayne from Ascend Custom Designs. I am a small business owner and a part of the xTool Squad program. What is the xTool Squad, you might ask? The xTool Squad is a global network of experienced makers, educators, and small business owners such as myself. We offer one-on-one demos of the xTool products that we own. The demos are a mix of online and in person. It differs by host. I should have updated my slide just looking at it because my demo room is very much open. We also offer material testing and skill training. Material testing involves testing customer supplied samples under a number of different parameters to get you ideal or perfect results. Skill training is essentially a one-on-one masterclass with a squad member. We'll hold your hand and walk you through start to finish. So whatever project you're trying to achieve, we'll show you how it's done, or if you just need training maybe on the software or help with maintenance, just ask what you need and we'll provide it. It's a very good service and it's tailored to the individual's needs. Right now, xTool's running a promotion that will allow you to book a demo absolutely free. There's no cost. You just pick a host, select whether you want it in person or online, select what machine you want. It will tell you what hosts are able to do that. Book with the host. All that you need to enter is your contact information and you're good to go. And I'll show you that on xTool's website shortly. If you want to find out more information about that, you can scan the QR code above. That will take you to my xTool Squad profile. Or alternatively, you can enter in the link below, and that is support.xtool.com/xtool-squad. There we go. So this is a rough idea of what I have for the workshop. So I'll go over some technical information of the M2. That's the machine I'll be demoing today. So it's just the M2. You might be able to see the F series of engravers in the shot when I show you, but it will just solely focus on the M2 today, most likely this week. I'll also physically show you the machine. So I'll get up close and personal. We can see the inside of it, just what we've got. I'll then cover some laser safety training, and then we'll jump into the software. So xTool Creative Studio, it's version 1.7.24. That's the latest version, and that has support for the M2. So if you brought the M2 and you can't get it to work, download the latest version of software and it will work. I'll go over some of the features, such as the auto material detection and AI make, and then we'll test on real world materials. So we'll do some cork coasters, custom cards, keychains, pretty much anything we've got here in the office. So if anyone has any ideas, if I've got the material, we can give it a go. If I jump straight over to the actual technical information, I should say that I've got the chat open. So if anyone has any questions, please do stop me, drop in the question, and I will try to answer it. So if we jump over to the actual technical aspect or the tech specs. So the device has a 10 watt, 20 watt, 10 watt or 20 watt diode, or a 3-watt infrared diode that is coming soon. It also has a inkjet module, so it's a CMYK inkjet module. So that stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and the K is black. So it's got the full colors. And in terms of the color, I've been asked questions about the yields and things like that. In terms of yields, the tech specs from xTool, it's 400 pages of print capacity, and that is based off 5% coverage, and that is using the ISO/IEC 24712 standard of working it out. So that's the very technical way of how they've come up with this 400 pages. I've yet to encounter it running out. I've not used it as much as I liked, and I'll let you know how much I've done later on, I guess. In terms of the ink, it is water soluble, so it will wash off with liquids. So if you're gonna use this ink module onto fabric, it will wash out. So just bear that in mind. xTool will be releasing a temporary tattoo paper pretty soon, so you can print directly to the tattoo paper. So you might have seen it in some of the videos. They will be releasing that shortly. It's just passing some safety certification, so it will be all safety certified and ready to use. So stay tuned for that. And then in terms of other features, it's a fully enclosed class 1 laser, so it will not operate with the lid open. So you don't need safety glasses, you don't need to worry about anything like that. It has dual cameras, so it has a 5 megapixel panoramic camera, and I'll show you where that's located. That's located actually on the lid. And then it has a 2 megapixel close-up camera. And you might be thinking some of the other cameras have like a 50 megapixel camera, such as the f2, or a 48 megapixel camera, such as the xTool f2 Ultra UV. Don't get hold up too much on that, because these cameras are closer. It operates just a little bit differently. It does have auto material detection. It's a pretty cool feature that I was testing out extensively since I got it. So I've not found something it hasn't liked yet. So I will throw some more materials at it. The xTool M2 also has Air Assist built in, so it's not compatible with a third-party Air Assist. It has its own Air Assist, and it's all built in, so you don't need an external Air Assist. I don't think what else. It's capable of max speeds of 600 millimeters a second, so that's comparable with like the S1 and the other M range. In terms of cylindrical objects, you do not need a riser base, and that is because the RA3 Lite, which is compatible with this machine, the rotary device for this machine, it changes the laser's orientation from vertical, so lasers engraved down, to horizontal. So it's actually a pretty cool way of doing it, and you're able to engrave cylindrical objects up to 100 millimeters, because you can change the orientation either. So yeah, so you can engrave cylindrical objects in the base. It's actually really cool. I've not used it. I took the rotary device out the box. I might demo that sometime this week. In terms of cutting capacity, the 10-watt diode can cut 8mm basswood and 3mm black acrylic in one pass. And if you have the 20-watt version, you can cut 10mm basswood and 8mm acrylic in one pass. So it's got some good cutting capacity, and it comes pre-assembled. It's ready to use out the box. There's no setup in terms of physically connecting things. It all comes pre-assembled. There is some calibration that you have to do, and again, it's very simple. If it's your first laser, you have to do some laser safety training, and again, very simple, very straightforward. And it has a max workspace area of 42.6 centimeters by 32 centimeters, and that max workspace will change depending on what you're doing with it. So for example, if you've got the ink cartridge in there, that will reduce. But yeah, and if you want to find out more information about the machine itself, so if you want to go to xTool's website, you can scan the QR code below, and that will take you directly to xTool's website. So if I was to just show you that now, so if you was to scan that QR code, this is where it go, and you can see all the tech specs. It's a very, very reasonably priced laser. So this is the most cost efficient laser, considering all of the items, all of the technology that's bundled into this. I'm quite surprised at the price point. So it's a very affordable price point. And that is what I was referring to in terms of changing the laser's orientation. So a laser will engrave downwards. The genius behind this is I've not seen this done with any other manufacturer. And this is where xTool innovates. So I always get asked why xTool, what does xTool do differently? I can get a laser from company A, B, or C. What do they do differently? And what xTool does is they take what is the standard and they improve on it. They innovate. So this is some great innovation from xTool. You don't need that riser base now because you can change the orientation of the laser. So if you're wanting to find out more information about it, please check out xTool's website. And this is the UK version. So if you're from a different country, you might be sent to the locality, the website locality for your location. So please check it out. And then next we'll jump onto the physical look around. So what I'll do is I will grab my phone. I'll switch to the pan tilt zoom camera and we'll have a physical look at the machine. So this is the actual machine. If I just put my phone down. So as you can see, it's a nice size. When I open this lid, that there is the panoramic camera. So that is that 5 megapixel panoramic camera. And if I switch to my iPhone, you should see if it will work. There we go. You should be able to see. So that is that panoramic camera. Then there's also a camera here. So this is that close-up camera. So if I was to try and view underneath, that is the underneath look, but that is the camera there. And then we have this module. So the module that I've got installed at the moment is just the laser module. And I'm just going to do this one-handed. It's a simple USB-C. So that's a USB-C cable there. And the module will literally just pull off. It's that simple. So if I was to switch between the different modules, it's that simple. It's magnetic, so it will only connect and snap in one way. And again, all I have to do is push that in. So I'll do that with 2 hands though. And it's that simple. So if I switch back over to the pan tilt zoom camera. So to snap it in place, I'm just going to hold some pressure there and I'm just going to push it in. It's that simple. There is a little bracket that I've screwed in just here. So I will show you that on the iPhone. So the little bracket there, this comes into play when we use if I giving everyone whiplash with my camera. When you have this inkjet module installed, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's got grooves there. That is the cap of the ink that stops it from drying out. What it does is it actually slides under there, it lifts up, so it pulls the cap off and it puts the cap back on automatically. It's actually quite genius. In terms of the bed, it's nothing spectacular in the bed. You've got a crosshair, you've got some markers that tell you the boundaries. I use this to line up material. So if I'm putting material in the bed, I use this to line up the material. So that is handy to have. And as you can see, this is a gantry based laser, so it moves around on a gantry. And if I switch back to the pan tilt zoom, and that is pretty much it. In terms of buttons, there is a power supply on the back and a button on the front. So I turn the power on, back. Close this down, it'll make a beep. So one of the features that I absolutely love about this machine is when you close the lid, it makes that beeping sound. And what it's doing is it's taking a picture. So one of my problems that I constantly have with my other lasers that have cameras is when I change something. So if I lift this up and I move something around and close it, and I go back over to the software, it doesn't update that snapshot. Every time you open and close this, it will take a picture, it will update, and I'll show you exactly how that works. It's fantastic. In terms of venting outside, this vents outside. You can hook this up to the air purifier, but you need an adapter for the M2. So if you've got an air purifier, so if you've got an M1, or maybe this is your first machine and you buy the air purifier, be sure to get the air purifier with the M2 adapter. The hose pipe is too big to fit on the air purifier. So if you're operating it indoors, that's what you would want. So I've got this venting outside, and that is pretty much it. This, when it's closed, you're fully protected from the laser. So this here will fully protect you from the laser. If I switch over to my computer, so this is the xTool software. If I go over here, so what we're doing now is, actually I'm skipping out a step here, laser safety. So in terms of laser safety, we always want to be safe, and it's best to follow some safe practices. So never leave the machine unattended, flat stable surface, don't modify the machine, ventilation. So we just talked a little bit about ventilation. I have this venting outside. It's not always possible. It's not a long hose. I think it's about 1.2 meters. I have it situated close to a window. And if I didn't have it, if it was a bit lower, if that rack was a bit lower, I would struggle to get it out the window. So if you're not able to get it out the window, buy the air purifier. And then in terms of things that you shouldn't engrave, I was asked some questions that, can this cut vinyl? This doesn't have a blade. So you do not want to cut vinyl. There is certain types of vinyl that have no PVC at all, but it's a very specific type of vinyl. So as a rule of thumb, I do not cut vinyl at all in this machine. I won't even try it. It creates a very dangerous chemical. It's very bad for your lungs. It's very bad for your laser. It's just bad all around. So there's certain materials you should never engrave. If in doubt, don't engrave. So it's not worth it. And then safety glasses. This really isn't applicable, but I've left it on here. So I have a pair of safety glasses. I have several pairs of safety glasses. If you're operating with the laser up, which you cannot do on this machine, like I said, it will not operate with the lid up. You need glasses. In this case, we don't have to worry about it. It's fully enclosed. I just thought I'd mention that if you have another type of laser that you can operate with the enclosure open, you do need a pair of safety glasses, and that's where the laser safety training comes in. And with that being said, now if we jump over to the xTool Creative Studio software, and there you can see just how easy it is to use. So I will zoom in just a little bit. Apologies for the reflection from the window. I've got the blind down, but there's still some sun coming in at an angle just there. So this is the xTool Creative Studio software. It's absolutely free. I'll show you where to download it on their website. So if you go to xTool's website and just jump straight to the top, you've got this software, xTool Studio. Hit download. And there we're taken to the bottom of the page. It knows I'm running Apple Silicon. So you can download the software there. It works for Windows. So I've got this installed on a Windows 10 PC, a couple of Windows 11 PCs. So you're not limited to how many PCs you can install it on, and it's absolutely free. So this comes with the purchase in that sense. It's all inclusive. You cannot run other lasers off this. So this only works with xTool branded lasers. And I always advise people to check out the release notes. They're constantly innovating, adding new features. It's wonderful, some of the stuff they've added, some of the innovations they've come up with. So I highly recommend you check that out. And if you're looking for an online demo or one-on-one demo, this local service product demo, this is where you go. You can have it find your location, or you can type in. So if we used to type in London, we'll go by Luton Airport, and we want an in-person demo, and we want I don't know, let's go the M2. So we want to find someone that demos the M2. Yeah, I've come up. You've got all these various people. So you just click on one of them people, and you can book. So you can book by specific machine. You can book whether they accept online or in person. So some people might only do online demos only because it's a very tight workshop. And in terms of details that they ask for, if we carry on and go continue, you just simply book a time. So you can go, okay, Friday, 11. Continue, name, email, phone number. That's it. Boom, you're done. The only time there's a cost is if you're doing material testing or skill training. There's an additional cost for that. xTool doesn't cover that. And if you want a physical sample of the apparel printer, the DTF, there's a cost for that, for printing it off and postage and packaging. But in terms of demos, all the products absolutely free, from the F2 all the way up to the metal fab, absolutely free. So I highly recommend, if you're interested in buying, take xTool up on this offer, because xTool are paying whatever host you select. They're paying them regardless if you buy or not. I will be transparent and say that if you do buy a machine, the host that you booked with, if you buy it within a certain time frame, they will get a small commission. But the host gets paid for their time regardless if you buy or not. So it's fantastic. I highly recommend you visit someone in person. It's very different than doing it online. Sometimes it looks like it's some camera magic being used. When I take this to events, I constantly get told that they've seen videos of xTool on YouTube, because they're very aggressive with their promotion, with their advertising and getting it in front of people. And they couldn't believe that it does exactly what they've seen on the YouTube videos or Facebook ads. So I highly recommend you do that. So if we jump over to the xTool Creative Studio software, the first thing I always recommend here is you go to the xTool Academy. And this is a helpful resource that you can go at your own pace. So if you was to select the machine that you want, so if we go down, the M2 is already on here, select the M2, you've got some videos for the M2 to get you going. I always advise going to the general and doing the laser safety training. This is very good to have, just general knowledge. I mean, a lot of this will be not applicable for the M2 because it's a class 1 laser. You can't operate it with the lid open, but it's just good knowledge to have. So I highly recommend that, and you get a certificate at the end of it. This will come in handy if you expand on your range of machines, because once you go down this path, generally speaking, you'll end up with different machines, usually a gantry-based machine for the work area, and then a galvo laser, so like one of the small F2s for the speed. If we go home, this is where we make the magic happen. So if I select a new project or click this plus button up here, that will open up Canvas where we will start using all the various tools to create the desired result. So in this case, it's opened up on the F2. I can simply switch between the lasers. I'll switch this. And if I enable that, you can see the laser head has moved to the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this open. And what I'll do is I will put something in the bed. So you'll see me put something in the machine, and you'll also see it automatically come on the screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some just generic cardstock in there. We're not going to engrave this at the moment. I just want you to see that I opened and closed the lid and it's in there. I open the lid again, and if I continue talking while it's happening, you'll hear that beep, and it's again updated. So what we'll put in there is we will put a humble keychain in there. So I'm just going to put that humble keychain in there, and I'm just going to line it up along the bottom of the crosshair, just to get it level, and it's done there. So while I've got this in, I'll show you the material, the auto recognition. So I've added that in there. And what I'm going to do is click on this material. So at the moment it says unknown material. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say, you got this button up here. So this doesn't appear with any of the other machines. So this is an added feature of this machine. So I'm going to click on AI material recognition. I can upload images, but I'm just going to capture with device camera. So I'm going to use the actual camera in the M2. And I'm not going to enter anything. I'm not going to try and describe it. I'm just going to go ahead and go OK. And it will take a few seconds. And then what should happen is it will tell us what material it is and give us some settings. So I've done a lot of basic material. So I did know what material I was putting in there, but all the material that I've put in there, it's come up exactly what it is. So in this case, it's come up natural wood keychain. That's pretty accurate, because that's exactly what it is. I think that's what it's listed as on xTool's website. This is xTool material. So it's automatically come up with the settings. So the settings that it comes up with is based on the module that's installed in your machine. So if you've got the 10 watt, like I have, it's 40% power. But if you've got the 20 watt, it might come up 30% power, 200 speed. So it's custom specific to the module that is installed. So I hope that makes sense. And if we scroll down, it gives us some precautions. Turn on air assist, gas pump. It gives you some helpful settings. If I click apply and save, there we go. And you can see up here, natural wood keychain. And at the beginning, it says AI, so you know that is an AI generated. If anyone has any questions about that, please do let me know. And then now into some of the other features. So this has dual cameras. So the picture that you're seeing of the bed here, that's from that panoramic camera that's attached to the lid. So that's what happens when you take this picture here. That is just that panoramic camera. Now we do have the ability to do a close shot, and that is where it uses that close-up 2 megapixel camera. So you can see it only covers a smaller area, but if we was to just do this maybe, you can see the difference, and you can also see the alignment accuracy. You can see that crosshair there, it's all with this 2-megapixel camera, the close-up one. But then you can see it's just out of alignment just there. And that's the difference. This 2-megapixel camera allows you to be very, very accurate. So you can see that panoramic camera is off in terms of accuracy, and that's because it's high up. So in all my testing, this camera here, this close-up camera, absolutely fantastic. And you can see it's automatically also given a material depth. So you can get the material depth manually, again, by just clicking this and selecting a specific area. So I can click on that and it will go around. And it's an approximate, so this will change slightly. If I do it again in a similar area, so at the moment it's 8.48. There is some deviation, so you see 8.48 to 8.45. Don't get too hung up on that. The diode laser is not as picky in terms of measurement as an infrared or UV. With the UV, you have to be on point. You have to make sure you're properly in focus. With the diode, it's very forgiving compared to the others. So it's an approximate. It works great considering the price point of this machine. You can also take multiple pictures. So if one picture isn't enough, you can go multiple. And that will now stitch all them pictures together. And you can see up here it's loading, and there we go. See some ghosting. So we just to do that again, say if I was to just take a picture here, and then I'm going to close up stitch, and I'm just going to do that. There we go. So let's just say we want to engrave something now. So what do we want to engrave? We have lots of options. So xTool have this complete ecosystem. So you got all the normal features you would find or would expect to find. So if you come in from, say, a Cricut machine, you've got text, so you can enter text. And you can change the font. You can select whether you want it engraved or not. So this color here, this is what's called a layer. So at the moment it's on the blue layer. This is just for informational purposes only. So this is just how you keep things organized, because you might engrave on the blue, you might cut on the red. There's different ways of managing things. So this is just for informational purposes only. I also like to choose colors that will be highly visible depending on the material. So if it's black material, I wouldn't want to use the black layer. So this helps make it nice and visible. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. So if I leave that on there, so I'm going to leave this as hello. I can also go to elements or just your basic shapes. So you've got basic shapes. Elements is a bit more to it. So I can just type in here heart, for example, or heart. And you've got some shapes, some additional shapes. You do also have templates. So we won't really cover that today, but you've got templates that you can use and projects. So projects, this links to xTool's platform called Atom. And Atom is a platform where you can share your creations and others can freely download, or maybe there's a cost. So it's not always free, but you can filter out free projects. And you can say Father's Day is coming up. So I can hit that and you can see all these various things. And if I was to click on one, it will tell you what machine it was done on, what type of wood. And it's just that simple. I could go open, or I could buy that. And again, if we, well, that should have been free. I don't know why that is. Oh, maybe I didn't click done. There we go. Yep, so we click on that. So yeah, if we click on that again, I can open up, I was looking at the wrong thing. That's the wood, if you want to buy the wood. So yeah, so you got the option of buying the supplies direct from xTool if you want. And it gives you a setup. So it gives you all the information you need to get you going. So if this is your first time using a laser, this is an excellent machine. And we've not even covered the print head. So at the moment, we've got the laser module installed, and you can see here where it says mode, lasering on flat surface. So if we was to change that, I could change it to inkjet printing. And if I click on this, you can see that area there is now taken out because that's not a printable area anymore. So that's where it reduces that workspace I talked about earlier. But you also have the option of printing and then cutting. So you can print and then straight away cut. So this comes in handy for cards, wood, and I should say, in terms of wood, the ink will absorb into the wood, and you might get a very weird effect. Let me just see if I do have one. So if I was to show you this bad example, so this is engraved, and I printed on the backside. So this is my dog, and as you can see, it doesn't look that great, and that is because the ink has absorbed into the wood, and it's the way it absorbs. So what you can do with this is there is a spray that you can get. So it's not on xTool's website yet in the UK, but you can get it from Hobbycraft, and it effectively just makes it so it's not as porous, so it doesn't just soak up all the ink. So you spray it on the wood, and you would then print on it, as I've done here, and you'll get a completely different result. So there is some caveats with it. If you're having issues, please let me know, and I'll help you out. But it works fantastic if you're doing cards. So if we was to switch back to the lasering surface, and again, this is where you do your different modes. So we have different options here of what we can do. Use the rotary attachment. So that's how you switch between the different modes. For the most part, most people will be just doing lasering and printing, and maybe print and cut. But if you're doing tumblers, you want to use the rotary mode. So if we take a picture again, so I'm just going to take a global picture. If I was to take a picture there, there we go. And again, there's some deviation. And if I was to just take a single picture, that's going to more than cover this. And what we'll do is we'll use AI Make. So this is xTool's generative AI platform. And it's absolutely fantastic. So you get 2 free or 3 generations for free a month. So if I was to just show you the screen and my face down here, so if I was to close out of that again, click on this AI Make down here, you can see that I've used the 1 free generation a month. It is a paid for feature in the sense of you need to buy credits. You do get some, I think 200 credits maybe when you sign up as a new user, so you get to have a taste, but you do also get 3 free uses every month, and that resets at the beginning of the month. They have a new option now where you got 15 credits. When you buy credits, so $5 gets you 500 credits, $10 gets you 1,000, $20 gets you 2,000. So you don't have to use this AI feature. I absolutely love it. It saves me so much time. But you do get some free usage out of it. There's a very limited free tier. So we have a look at some of the things that I've done. So I generated a 3D model. So here I generated a 3D model of a dog. So this is for engraving on the inside of glass. So I have the F2 Ultra UV. I have some canine glass. And I turned a simple picture of a dog into that model. So that was for something I did for a customer who recently lost their pet. And again, I use AI Make to turn this image into a line drawing. So if you're trying to engrave, that image will not turn out nice trying to engrave it. Whereas a line drawing has a higher chance of turning out better. So I like line drawings for wood, slate coasters. It's absolutely fantastic. And I just use AI Make to do that. And it's as simple as you go into new chat, you select what you want. So in this case, I said engraving, and I wanted a line drawing. So I didn't have to know any prompt. It's entered the prompt in for me. And then all I have to do is drag an image. So I drag an image from my computer to there, it uploads it. So you can see there's a picture of my dog. So just so you can see on the screen, add it. That is the picture of my dog. And it will, if I hit go, it will convert it into a line drawing. If I go to chats and images, so these are all the images that I've generated. If I scroll down, there will be ones of me and my dog. So for example, this one here, if I add that in there, you can see that's me and my dog. And that is the original picture. And honestly, it's so easy to use. So if you're using this in a classroom, if you're using it in your business and got employees, it's that the barrier to entry is very low in terms of how to use the machine, especially with this M2, because it's fully enclosed. You don't have to worry about some of the other safety aspects in terms of safety glasses. You do still have to worry about creating a flame. So you can still create a flame, and which is why you stay in the room when the machine is engraving. So you can see this is a laser engraving ready picture. So you can use other AI platforms. So you might like to use ChatGPT or Midjourney to create your pictures, and that's fine. But are they laser ready? So you might have to alter them somehow. The benefit of doing this with xTool is it's all in one piece of software. You got one seamless workflow. You don't have to switch between apps. You could just have a single screen. Don't even, I have dual monitors. I could do all this with one monitor if this is what I was doing, because it's all just one place that I'm doing it. And I won't cover it today, but xTool have created another piece of the puzzle that completes their ecosystem, and that's called custom things. And that allows you to create an online store, take orders. Customers can customize their own orders with their web store, and they just get sent directly to you. You could just go to your custom things and you could go straight to your orders. You can create your products. So I've created just a few products here, and all you would do is you would go to your orders, and your orders will be here. You click open on your order, and it will automatically open on the appropriate device. So if you've got two devices, maybe you're engraving on glass with the F2 Ultra UV, and the other one you're using the M2 and you're making cards, colored cards, it will open on the appropriate machine with the appropriate settings. So you're literally, all you have to do is hit the process button, place the material in the work area, and go. So you're just concentrating on pushing product out. So I highly recommend you check out custom things when you have time. I will be doing more on custom things in the coming months. They do have a retail solution. So if you've got an in-store, if you want an in-store solution, they also have a tablet, so you can give customers an in-store experience where they can customize something in-store. So it's a fantastic piece of innovation there from xTool. So if we was to just delete all this, and what I'll do is I'll engrave this dog. So this was a dog that was made from a prompt. So I just prompted the AI Make to generate a golden retriever. So if I was to go to close out of that, sorry, and like you can just enter in a prompt here. So I could say a golden retriever and hit enter, and it will generate a golden retriever. And that is pretty much what I did with this prompt. So you do have the option of entering in prompts. I'm going to crop this out. So I'm just going to get rid of the white space and go, okay, you know, I don't like that. Don't like that. Just make it nicer. If I go save, I can then cut it out. So what cut out means is get rid of the white. So I can do that. And as you can see, it took varying degrees of white out. I can mess around with the settings and do things like that. Or I can do this AI cutout. And it will use credits. So it will deduct 6 credits. So generically speaking, it will use 6 credits for most actions. In this case, I'm just going to do a manual cutout. I'm happy with that. It doesn't need to be anything in particular. I'm just going to move this around. I'm going to zoom in. And what I'll do is we'll see how fine this laser is. So it's a 10-watt laser. And what I'll do is I'm going to do that there. And we can do this frame. So this framing, if I do that, so this framing here, so if I was to hide myself again, that would frame out the material. So if I zoom in just a little bit on the base, if I hit frame, framing complete. So what I need to do now is hit the button. So if I'm going to make this big, I'm going to hit the pan tilt zoom camera. I'm going to open up the lid. You can't see it, but basically when I zoom out, you will. The light's flashing yellow. So I'm going to hit the button. And I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go, okay. I'm going to close that lid down. I'm going to switch over to here. I'm happy with that. So if I zoom out, you can see maybe that color of light has changed. So I'm going to hit frame and I'm going to go, do you know what? I will move this just a little bit like that. Go, okay, that's roughly in the middle. Hit process. It's going to take 5 minutes and 26 seconds. And what I'll do is if I hide my face, if I just do that, you have some options here too. So it's good there. It tells you how long it's going to take. Here, what modules installed. Some safety reminders. I can then frame again, which is quite nice. I can also preview the path. So what that is if I hit this, it will give me a thing that I can play, and you'll see just how the laser is going to move and engrave. So that's quite handy. So if I go back, again, I'm just going to hit process. What you see on this screen here is what will engrave. So if you see something that shouldn't be on there, go back and take it off. So let's just say I added circle or a square. You know, I completely forgot about that. If you see that on here, that will engrave. So a rookie mistake is leaving things on there. So if that's meant to be on there but not engraved, you can select it. You can obviously change its color. But more importantly, you can turn the output off. So when you turn this output off, that is telling the software to tell the laser to ignore it. So you can see it's not on here. So I'm going to hit start. Now if I was to make that full screen just there so you can see some of this. Now that I've sent the job, this has gone green. So I don't know how well you can see it, but I press this button here to start the engrave. If I, and it will move around and it will start engraving. So I've not tested these settings out. I usually go faster and with more power. But if that doesn't work, I'll show you a little hack with wood. If you get the settings wrong the first time, don't fret, just leave it in the work area. So if I'm just going to take this off, show you the screen only, another feature is, so what I was just showing you, the camera is an external camera, but you can use the internal camera. If I click on this enable monitoring, this is the camera that is inside the machine. So I can see what it's doing. So I'm just going to go over to the machine and just have a little eyeball. And I'm going to be honest, it's engraving. It's just very, very light. So what I'll do here is, because we only have 10 more minutes, I'm just going to cancel it. So typically I would let this continue. And then I would redo it afterwards. So if you get the settings wrong, so I know here, I don't like those settings. I'm going to say minimum power here is going to be 30. And I'm going to say power here is going to be 60, 75, 200 speed. 180 is absolutely fine. And I'm going to hit start. I'm going to hit that button again. And then what that will do is it will start the machine. And that is much better. So that's a much better result. So if you've tuned into my other lives and seen me do keychains on my F2 or F2 Ultra UV, you can now understand the difference in terms of speed. So this machine here has a max speed of 600 millimeters a second. So the Galvo laser, depending on which one you're looking at, so the F2 has a max speed of 6,000 millimeters a second. So it's 10 times faster than this machine. And they serve different purposes. The Galvo laser uses a mirror to bounce the laser around the bed, which is why it's capable of engraving so fast. But the limitation is the work area. So generally speaking, when you have a big work area, it's a gantry-based laser, and you just have to live with that slower speed. But it depends on what you're doing. If engraving coasters is your if this is your number one selling item, and that's why you're buying this machine, I wouldn't say don't buy it, but the F2 would be more appropriate, because you can do more. You can push out more product in a shorter amount of time than you can with this machine. And you could say, okay, I can engrave 10 slate coasters in this machine. I can only engrave one. You would be correct. So you can batch produce in this machine more efficiently, especially with the camera. But the F2 would still be more appropriate, because it's quicker output in one-on-one. If you was doing this in a store, that's what device you would want, because you can engrave in real time on it. Customer can pay, and it's a bit of showmanship. But if you want an all-round tool, which this is, it's an all-round crafting tool. It's very much an entry level, getting you started. If this has perked your interest, this is the type of machine that you want. It's very easy to use. The F2 is also very easy to use. It's just very different target audience, because the F2 also has an infrared laser. So you don't need to switch between the two. This does have an infrared module. You've got to switch to it. So it's very versatile in that way. It's just slow in comparison. So you can see that it is engraving. So this is where typically when I get new material, I always do a material test, and I do a material test on each type of machine that I'm going to use it on. So for example, if I've got this keychain, I will get my settings perfected on the M2, and if I have an F2, it will be different settings, and I'll get the ideal settings for that. And once I'm happy with it, you're good to go. The only thing you have to worry about is variation. So with wood, you will get variation. You get variation in the grain, and that can affect, depending on the type of wood, how dark the engraving is. But you can also get variation in terms of the thickness, the tolerance. So you do need to be mindful of that. So if you have jigs, you do need to be mindful of that. So you can see here, it is engraving. And we use that camera to be able to see just how accurate that is. Again, we've got 5 minutes left. Might go a little bit over. But this is a very, very simple, very easy to use device. So xTool have done a wonderful job targeting newcomers. So if you've ever thought about buying a laser but was scared that it's going to be too complicated, this is very much the machine to start with. Once you use the software, the same skills that you've learned can be applied to the different machines. So I went from having an S1 to an F2, F2 Ultra UV, and this one. So now that's done, what I'll do is I'll have an actual look. So if I take over this, so I'll open it up and I'll switch over to the iPhone. So you can see this iPhone. So I'm just going to open this up. And hopefully you can see. So it's literally that simple. If I put this under the desk camera, you can see. You can see just how simple and the details. You're not lost any detail really. So the only thing I will say in terms of detail may be, I can just about see, you might not be able to see it on the camera, is the eyes. There is a slight white, very slight, and that's to do with the dot size. So there is a difference when you engrave. So the diode, the 10 watt, will have a slightly smaller dot size than the 20 watt. But the infrared and UV lasers have a tinier dot than the diode. And the dot size, when I say dot size, what I'm talking about is the size of the laser. So think of the laser when it engraves, that beam has a thickness, and the thickness of that laser is that light is the dot size. So imagine you're trying to draw with a permanent marker. It'd be very difficult to get very fine details. The same thing applies again. So if you're drawing but with a pen, you will be able to draw more detail with a pen than a permanent marker. And again, you'll be able to draw more detail with a pencil, a sharper pencil, than a pen or a permanent marker. So think of the lasers, the different type of lasers, as a little bit like that. The UV laser, the F2 Ultra UV, the ultraviolet laser, that dot size is like painting with a strand of hair. The details that you can get on that machine, absolutely phenomenal. But generally speaking, the diode it doesn't have the largest dot size, but it's not the tiniest. So the CO2 laser has the largest dot size. Then it's the diode, depending on type of diode, it does vary just a little bit between the different powers. Generally speaking, the more powerful, the more wattage the diode has, the bigger the dot size, and again, it does vary just slightly. But sometimes it's enough to miss out critical details. And then the infrared has a tinier dot size, and then the UV is just in a league of its own. If I just briefly show you the screen again, so this is what we engraved. And that is how it placed. And if I was to show you the engraver cam and my face, and I just switch to the desk camera, see how much I can zoom in on this. There we go. So that and that. So you can see, I'll let you decide how accurate the camera is. Does that look like it's engraved in the right place using this camera? So this is an external camera. So this is the actual keychain that was engraved. And what you see on the screen above is what we worked with. Would you say that's accurate? I would say it is pretty accurate. So it's engraved in the area that I wanted it to. It's not engraved off it. If I zoom in just a little bit. And that is what we're dealing with in terms of accuracy. And that for the price point, absolutely fantastic. There we have it. And if anyone has any questions, I'm online again on Friday and Saturday. I'll be covering the inkjet module. So we'll do some print, maybe do some printed cuts. I don't generally do much cutting, but we'll see what people want. If you do have any questions in the meantime, my contact details are below. You can reach out to me on email. I'm on WhatsApp. You can pick up the phone and call me the very old-fashioned way. I don't bite. If you want my social media handles, so if you prefer to message through social media, info.ascendcd.com, I'm more than happy to help. I should also say that I can get you a slightly extra discount. So if there's a specific model of machine that you're trying to buy, I can run through what's called a host assist order. And all that means is you tell me what machines you're looking for. You'll get an email directly from xTool, and it will be a special link, and it will have a discount, and that discount applies to any other promotion. So if it's a Father's Day promotion and it's £200 off, you would get that plus a little bit extra discount. If the machine's not discounted, you'll get a discount with that. So if you're interested in buying, please reach out to me. I've had several people do that, and they were happy with the discount they got. Every little helps, I guess. If there's any questions that you have, again, please reach out, tech specs. I will tell you whether you can do it or not. I've had to turn down some orders. Some people wanted the M2, but they specifically needed it to cut vinyl. The M2 does not cut vinyl, especially vinyl with PVC in it, because it's very dangerous. So there is a certain type of vinyl that doesn't contain PVC, but as a rule of thumb, I always say no to vinyl. So these people are looking to replace their vinyl cutter with this machine. And if you're keeping the same vinyl, you're going to have to change all your vinyl. So please reach out to me if unsure, and I will tell you if it's appropriate or not. I'm all about giving people the truth. So if the machine's not fit for purpose, it's not fit for purpose. I'll point you in the right direction. Sometimes people come to me and they want a certain type of machine that's more expensive, but what they need is a cheaper machine. And again, I'm all about giving people the right tool for the job. I believe that it's an easy job selling these machines because they sell themselves when you see them in action. If there's a specific thing that you're trying to do, and I could show it you, it sells itself. So if you have any questions of technical questions, please reach out and I'll be happy to help. That's all I have time for today. Have a good rest of the day, and I will see you at the same time on Friday and Saturday. So 4 p.m. on Friday and